welcome to everybody around the world. We're all in our respective bubbles somewhere, hopefully safely and happily. A new normal for us at the moment. But thanks to technology, we can meet up. Liz, you're in Dunedin. I'm here in Canterbury. I'm Julian Yates. I work for Black Cat. I'm a skipper. I've been there for 10 years. Been working on boats for over 20 years, so I love being out on the waves. And I'm going to be talking with Liz Slooten, a researcher at the Otago University. She's going to introduce herself. So Liz, welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to chat with you in any case, and especially for this kind of purpose. So yeah, like you, I love being on the water. So as a little girl, I would be going out in kayaks and little sailing dinghies and what have you. And my parents had a ship wrecking yard, not a ship building yard, but a ship wrecking yard. So there's plenty of boaty stuff happening there. And then at some point I immigrated to New Zealand, and then a bit later, about 3 years later, started studying Hector's dolphins. So since 1984, I've been doing research on Hector's dolphins together with my partner, Steve Dawson. And since 1990, we've been working at Otago University and continuing that research. And also every summer there are students going out in their own boat doing research around Banks Peninsula on the Hector's dolphins. It's
inexpensive as far as time and money to research dolphins. You've got outboard fuel, you've got people's time, and then the research and stuff like that. Black Cat, you've been working alongside with Black Cat for a good portion of those. About
that same amount of time. So it wasn't called Black Cat then, but Akaroa Harbour Cruises, as they were called, started up in 86, I think it was, 85 or 86. So the first thing we did was that survey with the little rubber duck around the South Island, and then we settled at Banks Peninsula, and at about that same time, Ron and Jarrell Bingham started up Akaroa Harbour Cruises. Yeah, it was cool. So we've been working along with them, kind of growing up with them that whole time. Yeah,
you've sort of become part of the family, the Bingham and Hector's Dolphin Black Cat family.
Yeah, I think that's been really cool. So they've been very supportive over the years with providing various bits of equipment, including an outboard motor not long ago.
Yeah, nice.
And just being super supportive. So when we were doing those surveys with the larger boat, we had a team of 4 students and Steve and myself for 2 months during the summer. So our boat kind of became a student flat during the summer. And we would, a couple times a week, we would put everybody in the rubber duck and go to the Black Cat place on the wharf, the office on the wharf where people get in and out of their wetsuit to go swimming with the dolphins. And we would all go and have a shower. We'd make sure that our timing, there wasn't one of your trips coming back with people in their wetsuits at the same time. So, yeah, it's been lots of logistic, in kind, as well as financial support.
So the population estimates...
So the very latest surveys have been done by Ministry for Primary Industries, go 20 nautical miles offshore. That's about roughly 40 kilometres offshore. Interestingly, when you compare the numbers between the very last survey, which was done by Ministry for Primary Industries, and the last lot of surveys that Otago University did, that we did, then actually everywhere except the east coast of the South Island, those numbers are similar or lower.
Right.
So the most recent estimates are similar or lower than the last ones that we did. In fact, down by about 1,000 dolphins. And so roughly speaking, 5,500 dolphins everywhere except for the east coast of the South Island. And then the east coast of the South Island is a kind of a mystery because the most recent survey by Ministry for Primary Industries, their estimate is 5 times ours. And given that this survey goes further offshore, you might expect a few more, like maybe even double. But 5 times, that's just not credible. And so there's been a lot of discussion about that for a few years now, and that still hasn't been resolved. So East Coast, South Island, we don't really know how many. Everywhere else, roughly 5,500. Very simply, I would say about 10,000 Hector's dolphins around the country. It's about a third now of what it was in the 70s. Those North Island dolphins, the Maui dolphins, there's only 57 individuals 1 year and older. So they are in serious trouble. They are like teetering on the edge of extinction.
Yeah. As far as protecting them, we've talked about trawling and set netting as threats. It's the current process of the threat management plan, which Black Cat and yourself have been closely involved with. What could you sort of outline for us to that process, or where we're at with that, and what needs and what we can do?
Yeah, again, Black Cat have been super helpful with that, coming to meetings. So the process is basically that the government has put out a threat management plan, a draft threat management plan, and then there was a series of meetings to explain the plan to the public. And so people from Black Cat, either Paul Milligan or Paul Bingham, would come to those meetings. And then there was an opportunity to write submissions on that plan. And the next step will be for the Ministers of Fisheries and Conservation to choose one of the options in that threat management plan, or hopefully a bit better, because the best option in the threat management plan was actually not all that sustainable. Anyway, so a decision was originally due sometime late last year, and then it was due early this year, and then of course COVID happened. So I have no idea what the time frame of this will be, but I expect sometime this year, hopefully before the election, there will be a decision by the two ministers saying this is what we're going to do to better protect Hector's and Maui dolphins.
Right.
And at the same time that they release that decision, they will also release a summary of the submissions. So we'll all be able to see what everybody wrote in their submissions and how closely has the minister's decision matched what people asked them to do, etc.
Looking forward, obviously the borders will not be opening for a while, so we're going to be relying on local tourism, on the people.
Of course, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because a lot of your tourists are international.
That's right, but we have had an ongoing local tourism. You know, New Zealanders love coming to Akaroa, and Christchurch people love coming to Akaroa. So level 3 would mean people can move within Canterbury. I'm not sure tourism would be operating under level 3.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain it won't be. But we're sort of dreaming of a better future down the track when we do have that freedom. I think you'd have to have level 1 off before we get anyone in internationally. But there's a lot of people in New Zealand. I mean, there was an advertisement many years ago, don't leave home till you've seen the country. Well,
exactly.
Staycations are going to be what people are doing once their lives have got some stability and financial stability as well. But, I'm itching to get out on the harbour. It's a beautiful place to be, sea caves and sea cliffs. But yes, so looking forward, once people start moving locally within New Zealand, I think people are going to want to get out and explore, and Akaroa, as you know, is a beautiful place to come to. So we're looking forward to seeing people, once they're able to move around, to come out and see us, and we may have some special rates for people as well, I imagine.
I was thinking, you might put on some kind of special deal for locals or something. Just to
we already do, as you know, with Sea Week, we won free talks with you, free trips in Littleton and Akaroa. It's always really well supported. We offer free trips to people to come out because the community, a small community, works together, and so we appreciate that what the community does to support Black Cat. So it's great to have locals coming out and seeing, because a lot of people haven't been out on the harbour, even though they've lived there all their lives. So now that people aren't going to Fiji during the winter and wherever else they were planning to, there are some beautiful places in this country that the rest of the world comes to see.
Exactly.
So once we're able to move, let's go and see that. Let's come and have a look at this beautiful doorstep, our beautiful backyard.